Hi everyone, Goddess of Radical Self-Love. We are working on the coloring cleanse, yes, for chapter 12. And we have a new scenery, not really, we just repositioned desks so that the Conscious Queen could have a space as well. And I just took a nice relaxing bath for my self-care. You know, that's my thing. I hope you guys are doing that as well. Doing everything you can every day to bring relaxation and peace into your life, because it works. Yes. And we are listening, if you can hear it, to Beth again on, what is this? Oh yeah, Spotify. Sorry. And I swear my camera is all grainy. I don't know why. So my son said he's going to bring over a webcam. So hopefully it will be better than what we have. And today I am starting with the crown chakra. Just because, you know, the chapter is called Night Terrors, and it was the hardest chapter I've read yet, so yeah. I think that a lot of the stuff is hard to say out loud, but I know that the night terrors were had a really big impact on believing my reality or not, or Lonnie believing her reality or not. So I thought it was important for us to understand that, again, we're not our experiences. We're so much more. This is only a vessel of the divine. Each and every one of us are divine, a divine expression. So let's begin. Breaking it down. And I am going to cover some of the things I guess I haven't also talked much about that really did add to who I was, or who even I am today, like in this conscious level. Maybe understanding why I am able to speak to you or relay the information the way I am, or have the drive that I do. There's more to me than what was in the story, more to Lonnie than what she wrote in the book. So everyone around me started noticing changes. It was hard not to. I had lost 10 pounds very quickly. The doctor said I was at less than 1% body fat now. My psychiatrist wanted to place me in a hospital, but I refused. I ended up going on some heavy-duty sleeping pills as a compromise, and with the suggestion of my therapist to try sleeping in my foster parents' bed. It was supposed to be a place where I could be safe. I did trust BH, my foster parent, even though we had a couple of rocky times here and there. She had been a rock for me in most circumstances. I believed all her controlling ways and at the time manipulative behavior was her way of protecting me. I mean, I was a teenager. You know what? I totally forgot that that I was reading this like You know what? I'll pull it up. Sorry. I don't want to be looking down the whole time. Not right. Huh. I'm like, where are you? I know it's still up here somewhere. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sorry, you guys. Yes, I know that me doing this isn't what's important. Like me, there we go. Not being all organized at times isn't very important to you guys. I mean, I hope not. I hope you're not being all judgy. But if you are, too bad. All right, there we go. Just want to find the way. I'm like, the time. Isn't this funny how I'm editing it while I do this? It's kind of weird, but it's good. I mean, I was a teenager. Nothing about her was ever out of the ordinary except the jealousy issues. Even some of my friends had raised concerns over her. But like I said, I thought she was just being protective. You know, and also, like, when you are a child of abuse, at least from my experience and through my education, you might not recognize things for what they are as quickly as somebody else would. Maybe you trust people a little easier, but I'll tell you this much. I know for sure abusers can recognize those who they're able to abuse. And normally they are already or have already been victims. They're actually the easiest ones to abuse. And you would think it would be different. At least I would think it would be different, like where they'd be harder because they'd be more prepared. You know, a victim would be more prepared to face somebody who was a aggressive person, or I don't know. It's complicated because, you know, a child gets used to being in this role, especially when you're talking about sexual abuse. I mean, and lots of kids who have been abused, they'll find a spouse who will be abusive. I know I did several times. So it was like this constant vicious circle that just kept playing out over and over and over. I think you kind of get to a point where you believe that that's what you deserve, or you can't see you don't recognize the differences between, I mean, you do. I recognized it, like this shouldn't be happening, but because you want to be loved and accepted so much. And it's really just codependency, constant codependency, needing that outside attention, you know, and that's why, like, the goddess of radical self-love, when I started really giving that love and devotion to myself, it's funny how many even friends of mine are no longer a part of my life. I can't have them be a part of my life. And the ego on a lot of people, it's like overpowering how their jealousy gets. And it's really easy to see now, you know, like, because when you don't need the outside attention, all of a sudden you start attracting a different type of attention, and then people kind of lash out, it seems. But yes, I'm vaping on this chapter. I am not smoking. I do not condone either, but in my perspective, I'd rather have you vape than smoke, but whatever I need to do to get through this chapter is what I'm doing, for real. So, but like I have said, I thought she was just being protective. I had just arrived in her life a little over a year ago. Of course, she wanted to spend more time with me than my friends' parents wanted to spend with them. They were ready to watch their children spread their wings. BH wasn't. I liked BH. She was fun to be around. We went nearly everywhere together. We played on the same softball team and even won our state championship together. We went on camping and road trips across the country. We spent every holiday with her family together. We were pretty much your typical mother and daughter. Even though we were so close, I was still a bit shocked when my therapist suggested us sharing a bed. I knew she believed it could be a healing experience for me. First, so I could get some sleep. Second, I could finally know what it was like to have an adult who wouldn't hurt or take advantage of me in a close, intimate setting. Intimate as in sharing the same space with her. And besides that, we also worked very close to each other. There was this program back then which I actually have designed part of MECA around the Stay in School program, where foster children were able to work for the government and be trained in a position. Mine was administration or administrative for Farmers Home Administration, and I loved my job. And I was right across the road from her, so I would go over there on my lunch breaks and visit with everyone, all the people who worked there, well, all the disabled population, and they love me and I love them. So it's just interesting that later I have a daughter with, you know, chronic illness, disabilities, because I was already so, well, I kind of believe in some ways that, well, no, I do believe, not in some ways, I do believe that people who have disabilities or challenges, like, to me, they're kind of like magical powers, because you have heightened senses in some ways, or a lot of ways. So, and especially children of abuse definitely have heightened senses and are extraordinary people when they know how to place their superpowers. So I have superpowers just like a lot of people who have challenges or disabilities. And that's what I think that they were seeing in me too. So I had my whole life worked extremely hard because, well, since the parents weren't home, they were always working in the cities. Really, the kids, my sisters and I, mainly me, had to take care of the horses and the house and the garden. And so we started at a super young age. I mean, like second grade, taking care of the garden. And it was our garden, a huge garden. And so we would sell our crops at the end of the driveway, or the parents would drive us downtown and we'd sell them out of the truck, like pumpkins and everything. So we'd take our money and buy Christmas presents, and yeah, it was a really good grounding root experience for me to be able to build upon, like, who I was, a hard worker, consistent, and never getting anything for free. From the time I was such a young child, I never knew anything different other than hard work, and always thinking about where that money was going to go. It really was normally for other people. I can't remember a time in my life that I wasn't using the money that I made for the people I loved. Yeah, and so that's kind of like the deal with MECA too, is using the money from the snake that never sheds to help our most vulnerable population. It's what I love to do, give back, and especially to those that have these superpowers that others maybe don't recognize, but I definitely do. Very quickly, I was at peace, lying next to her. She had a large bed, so it's not like we were on top of each other. It was more like one of my many girls' sleepovers. It was comfortable. The peace I felt without the night terrors was short-lived, although now I could count on BH instantly waking me up if I showed any signs of the night terrors. When I tried to wake myself from them, it would be of little use, as the waking was still part of the dream. It was really confusing. I always thought I was awake, but I wasn't. It was just like part of the dream. It was a vicious cycle of the night terror waking, only to find myself in the midst of an element of illusion within the horror movie playing in my eyelids once again. Someone was either trying to kill me, or I had to watch them kill someone else. I would always try to stop them. Most of the time I would end up turning the tables on the predator and take their life, but they would never really die. Like every horror movie, when you think the villain is finally down, they come back to life. Yeah, it was pretty confusing. I had those for a long time, so really as far back as I can remember. And on occasion, like, well, I shouldn't say, in the past, like, few months, no, I haven't. So, but normally my night terrors would be pretty consistent with the same ones happening. Like, it would just add on, or it would just be a replay. So, with more detail. So each time I could kind of be one step ahead of them in some ways. And it's kind of funny all of a sudden saying that too, because it's kind of like how it is with people now, one step ahead of them using discernment, because people really do give you a little indication of who, not a little, I mean, my intuition is pretty spot on, but before it was like I just overlook these things. And kind of like it was all in my head. I might question people, but their answers would, assure me that they were legit. They weren't, trying to hurt me, or they'd make me feel like I was crazy for thinking something other than that they were good, true, and genuine. So it's very difficult. I would say I have definite Asperger's in a lot of ways because, you know, I'm very honest, and I've gotten a lot better at understanding that people need to show me exactly who they are after a long period of time. You cannot just go ahead and take somebody's word for it, because most often it will be some time before they end up manipulating or whatnot. So it's best to just let them know that right off the bat, when you see some types of behavior, that it's not appropriate and you're not going to stand for it, so they understand that they can't take advantage of you. It's literally that easy. Like, immediately when you see disrespect, cut it out. Done. Just like that. It's pretty, no matter what they have to offer, it's never enough because you're going to get hurt either way. So why not just cut it out right away? I mean, like, now I really don't, and it's not that I don't need anyone. It's not that I don't love anyone. It's just like I deserve to be treated with the same type of respect I give others, and I give high quality friendship. I'm a loyal person. I make the right decisions. Not everybody else does. So I need to have those kind of people in my life. I deserve it. So I would also experience having very sexually terrorizing night terrors as well. Women, children, or myself being raped, really sexually tortured. Most of the time it was people in my family who were the victims. And from time to time, even my father, or the roles might be reversed, whereas my father or mother or some other adult I knew being the psychopath, I felt ashamed having this sexually explicit night terrors, like something was innately wrong with me. Upon waking, I felt dirty, way worse than the ones with the killings, even if the people were mutilated and I couldn't stop it. I felt as though I had done something wrong. Being able to even have a dream so vivid about such horrifying sexual acts, especially with people I knew and loved, it was all so confusing and exhausting. Then I started having them about BH. For over a year, almost nightly on vacations, even when her sister was with, I would have night terrors about my foster parents sexually abusing me. It's almost like it's really hard for me because to talk about it, because like even now, you know, I think about my kids and how old they are, and you know, I understand like teenagers, and I was still a teenager. I was still like going through the same motions as other teenagers and going through the same rites of passages, and you know, I still had a boyfriend that I really cared about. So it actually almost made it worse because I really did feel like, what in the world is wrong with me? Like, here, him and I are just having normal, you know, like a normal progression of our relationship, you know, and I'm having these nightmares that include things that, well, I mean, I guess I'm not, like, I've never been really, like, into porn. It's not that I've never seen it, but it just really doesn't do anything for me. So, like, I don't know. I mean, I've watched it, and there's nothing in there that, I mean, I haven't watched really bad porn, I guess. I've just watched normal porn, but it's like, there's I had never seen anything like that as a, 15, 16-year-old. So, what I saw was not consensual, and it was painful. And especially if you can imagine having to watch it, something like that, or feel like you're in the present moment of something like that happening to your family members. It's humiliating. Who was I supposed to talk to as such a young child without feeling that there was something wrong with me? I didn't tell her, the foster parent, or anyone else because I was ashamed to talk about them at all. I didn't want to say anything anyway. What would people think of me if I told them? What would BH think if she knew I had become part of the night terrors, or she had become part of the night terrors in this way? Would she think I was disgusting? Would she kick me out? Would she think I was a bad person? Would she think I was like my brother, grandfather, or JP, that I was somehow a predator? So I would close my eyes tightly and pray the night terror would soon be over. And I wouldn't say just her, but anybody. I couldn't like go and talk to my friends about it, like, hey guys, or my boyfriend, like, uh, the first time I remember it happening, believing the entire time I was having another night terror, I had been screaming from another horrible scene in my unawakened subconscious. BH woke up. She pulled me over into her arms as I was shaking. She held me tightly to calm me. She had done this before, so I was thankful to have her so close, holding me safely in her arms. As I started to drift back off to sleep, still on the medication, I couldn't stay awake for long. I felt her hand gently glide down the nape of my neck. Yeah. My mind is so, I don't know, different, I guess, than most people's, because literally as I'm talking about these scenes, I can transport myself there like instantly. I feel like I'm there. I see the room around me. I feel the bed. I see her. Like, and it's not like I see Lonnie sitting there. I am there. This is the room. I see the nightstands. I see the closet. I see the door. I see the walls. I mean, like, I see it all. So it's obviously, I'm thankful. I'm very thankful that I get to share with all of you, because I know that other people must have had these things happen to them and aren't sharing them or feel ashamed to share them. So this has been my gift to be able to share with all of you. But it's just like so surreal that how can I just transport myself into these situations that happened so long ago? I mean, like, This is like 30 years ago, so I know people who don't remember 5 years ago. I mean, it's just really interesting how our minds can work so different than each other's. Like I said, they're superpowers from these fight or flight, freeze moments, I suppose. Some people forget and other people can't forget. So we're doing this. Yeah. Doing all of this, releasing them. So I no longer have to, I have already separated myself from this. It's just, I think by doing this, I am helping Lonnie at that time release it as well. Yeah. It gave me chills, but I trusted this must be part of another night terror. Maybe I hadn't actually ever woken up at all. Many times like this, I wouldn't be able to see the predator. It was completely black, or I didn't want to see. I would squeeze my eyelids tightly together, not letting in a speck of light. I would only feel what was happening. This time as well, I feel someone moving my PJ top to the side and kissing my tiny nipples. And just like real life, I can remember the night terrors just as well as if they actually happened. So it's easy for me to still, even today, realize how I could have not understood that they were night terrors. I continue, even though I don't have night terrors, I have very, very, very vivid dreams or astral projections. I can do all kinds of stuff in my dreams now, so I don't really believe it's totally like our brain shuts off or any of. I think we're still very lucid, and I just think at that time I had so many dark energies that were attacking me that yeah, they got me in my dreams. They tried to stop my power from being the person I am today. They knew who I was going to be. So now I just stand in my power, sure of who I am, understanding why I went through all of this was a very important role. The role to help all of the people that this will one day. This time as well, I felt someone moving my PJ top to the side and kissing my tiny nipples. They moved on to sliding my panties to the side and finally removing them, spreading my legs wide open, kissing, licking, and putting their fingers inside of me. I finally took a deep breath and opened my eyes. There she was, her head in between my thighs. This had to be just another night terror I couldn't awake from. It had to be. My body began to tremble, and still she didn't stop. Tears came pouring down the sides of my face, the rest of my body frozen, but she continued. It had to be a night terror. There's no way BH would ever hurt me like this. I've forgiven her. I have. She had to be maybe in more pain than I was. They all had to. They wanted me to make them feel better. They wanted me to take away their pain. I am a healer. And they knew. They knew the extent of my love, I suppose. Although my vulnerability at that time and you know, it went, well, we'll go on. But it went much further than all of this. I mean, it went much further. It wasn't unusual for me not to be able to use my voice in my dreams, especially night terrors, so it was no surprise I couldn't say to stop or ask what she was doing, not only in my night terrors, but actual sexual abuse episodes. I usually was never able to use my voice except for the ones with JP, the one time with JP, and that took every bit of energy and courage I could possibly find. Never sure really why. I suppose it's because the first time it was like I was so young and so confused as to this being something that was pleasurable or something that was wrong. Yeah, I think that's probably the reason. And then once I even knew it was wrong, I, for some reason, would go back into that first time with the first time. I think that's what it is. Like, if you've been a abuse victim like this, you, for me anyway, are transported to that very first time. So all of these times that happened, basically, I was still 3. In the morning, I just laid there feeling how I normally did after one of those night terrors, exhausted, confused, and full of shame. BH was out in the kitchen making breakfast. I finally got out of bed and ran to the shower. I scrubbed my body over and over. This had become a ritual of mine for years. This day was no different. I brushed my teeth for an eternity and got dressed, threw my hair up and went to the kitchen. BH was all smiles. She looked no different from the day before. She acted no different from the day before. It was a dream. I was so relieved. So life went on. I shared BH's bed. I believed I continued the night terrors with her in them a couple of times a week. The rest of my night terrors continued as well, but only a couple of times a week. So sometimes I could make it through with only half of my nights feeling like I was in the matrix of hell. At least I got to sleep well for a few nights. Of the week. I was a bit thankful. School was great. I loved being there with my family, my friends. I don't say in here like how much I was actually involved in like other extracurriculars, like not just sports, you know, that I was in the band. I played saxophone. I loved it. I was in choir. I loved it. We had a lot of small group competitions and state and things like that. So I was really involved in a lot of different things. before this, so I stayed really busy. JF was sweet as pie, the sweetest person I had ever known in my whole life. He made me feel safe and protected. His heart was bigger than life itself. I wish I was able to return that to him. It's supposed to be I wished. I was able to return that to him, but I knew he had his hands full dealing with my drama, which again only added to the shame and guilt I felt. I'm changing drama to demons, so. It was pretty cool. I mean, he was like, I would say every man I have been with never measured up to half the man he was, even at 16. I still told no one about the night terrors. I continued cutting, at times worse than others, a few times ending up in the hospital from cutting and overdosing on my meds. No one ever knew what to say, as I kept most of the pain in and was only able to share by the wounds I self-inflicted. That gets me every time. Just as like, I would never do that to myself today. And I understand, I do understand others who do. It's just, that's why, you know, with the, sorry, I don't know what happened to the Kleenex. It was right here. Uh, got it. It's really hard because, I want to help everybody so bad, but it's all about self-love. It's about really working towards it. Like, if I could have had somebody helping me find my own self-love, really working on it every day, like releasing the guilt and shame, you know, even if it wasn't founded guilt and shame, even if it wasn't, I shouldn't have been feeling it or whatever, I still did. So if somebody could have helped me realize, like, I could let go of it, I could forgive myself. Like, I didn't have to even, like, first forgive anybody else. Like, if you can forgive yourself first, like, then you can definitely forgive other people. It's like, we have it so wrong. We have it backwards. We completely have it backwards. It's, you can forgive other people if you can forgive yourself. You can love other people if you can love yourself. Like, the way we do things is just completely backwards because people want to say it's selfish. I needed to be selfish. Nobody taught me I could be. They called me Queenie. That I was the queen. I don't know queens who have been treated like this. I've never heard of that before. So now I am. I'm the queen. See? That's how you sit. Just kidding. But yeah, I deserve to be treated like a queen. And so do you, or a king. We all deserve to. Especially by ourselves. No, not especially. We have to. We have to believe that we are the rightful owners of the crowns that sit on top of our heads. Our divine connection. We are divine. I see it now. I hear it now. Those dark voices, are gone. So JF and his brother DF came to see me in the hospital, and they made me promise to stop even though I knew I couldn't. I wished I could through the promise. They gifted me a stuffed monkey to hold on to when I couldn't be with them. DF joked that it looked like JF. He always made me laugh, just like a real brother encouraging his younger sister, but I could see the pain I inflicted on everyone in their eyes. They wanted to help, but I knew they couldn't. No one could save me. You are the only one who can save you. You're the only one. It's all you. It's always been you. JF's family and I had become really close. They felt like they were mine. I felt like we would always be one unit, that JF and I would get married and we would share family memories for a lifetime. They accepted me even if I was broken. I felt if anyone could, it would be them to help put the pieces back together eventually. They are a beautiful family. Beautiful people. Beautiful. I would say 90% of my best memories during high school days came from them. Huge part of who I am. Huge part. Thank you. I always had a way of explaining all the self-harm to everyone, even the shrinks. I had a headache, I took too many, I couldn't sleep and took too many, the meds made me crazy, so I slit my wrist. Somehow, everyone bought my bullshit and would let me out of it. The real reason being, I was in pain. I blamed myself for everything. I believed all the things my parents had programmed. The parents had programmed into my head. I hated myself. I couldn't understand how anyone liked or loved me, and to be honest, I didn't believe them if they said they did. I figured there must be another reason for their love or loyalty. There must be something they wanted from me. I really needed help. I needed someone to tell how I was really feeling. I needed someone to help me to forget. I needed someone to help me know that I wasn't my past experiences. I needed someone to help me know it wasn't my fault, to really help me understand. I needed someone to tell what was happening in my dreams. I needed someone to tell how much I was hurting, screaming, and crying inside from the loss of my sisters and my family. My junior year, I had received a visit from my social worker. I just want to go back to that really quick. I think this is at least from what I've recognized and experienced and seen, that therapy doesn't really deal with these things on the level it needs to. It really doesn't deal with radical self-love the way it needs to. It doesn't deal with going there in an intimate setting to the place where you really trust somebody. Most often, if you're dealing with children, teenagers, they're going to tell their friends. So more than anything, we should probably prepare them at school, the friends, how to become therapists themselves. Pretty much. I think we should probably have meditation at school from preschool on, psychology in school, preschool on, sociology, preschool on. We need to be able to understand and accept each other, love ourselves, and then love each other. Not look for the outside to love us and make it better. In my junior year, I had received a visit from my social worker. Her visits had become sporadic. I was supposed to see and talk with her at least once a month. 4, 5, 6 months would go by without a word. BH and her had become really good friends. They both worked for the county. BH was the county director of Disability Services Workforce Center. I would go there at least a couple of times a week and help with all the projects. I loved going there because all the special souls would be so happy when they saw me walk through the door and come give me hugs. They lit up my world each time and would always have gifts they made for me. I had a very special bond with them, like they saw something in me no one else did, the same thing I saw in them, that others missed as well. A light, an energy far different than others, our hearts connected. And this is what I'm talking about with the kids who have experienced trauma. I would say they would be perfect caregivers for the disabled population because they will see each other's light. They'll understand. They'll understand their vulnerability. They'll understand what they need. And they'll understand their light and how much they give. BH and the social worker would have coffee or lunch and discuss how everything was going. This, of course, was against policy and wrong, considering all the abuse happening every day in foster homes. Social workers are supposed to be there to protect the child who has been placed, not to become BFFs with the foster parent, no matter what career they may have. And that's the thing, too, I should say, is like, my siblings, my sisters should have had social services involved with us a long time ago. They already were aware of what happened when I was in, 4th grade? And had the forced phone call. So where were they then? And why were my siblings still with the parents? As I was saying, the social worker finally made a visit. She wasn't really there to see how life with BH was going, but to hand me a copy of a letter. She didn't stay to watch me read it. BH wasn't home either. I sat down on our fluffy blue sofa with the envelope addressed to no one. It was stuffed to the maximum capacity, so I had trouble getting it out. The letter was addressed to social services. Quickly, I flipped through the pages to see who wrote it. At first, holding the envelope, I thought it was from my mother, a long hate letter. Sorry, I gotta change this again. I don't like saying my, because it just, the mother, she's just, sorry, but an archetype. I mean, if anybody's the mother, it's me. I'm the mother to the Lonnies. My higher self, my future self, God, Gaia, Source, archangels, ancestors, they were my mother and father, our heavenly father, our heavenly mother. Consciousness raised me and me. A long hate letter or an apology. I was relieved to find the handwriting much neater, and she was exonerated as the suspect. I got to the last page to find a series of signatures. They were from some of my brothers and sisters, the father's children in California. I held the letter in my lap, wondering what in the world they would have written the state for, unless, of course, the parents had filled their heads as well about what a terrible child I was, and here they were backing them up. I thought about just ripping it up because I couldn't take much more. The father had always talked, I don't know why this chapter is like that, always talked so highly of them. He made it seem like they were the best kids he could have ever wished for, and we, TAMC and I, were shit. He had told us how smart they were and that 2 of them were actually 4.0 college grads and professors at UCLA. We were, of course, his morons, one of the mother's favorite names for us. Old sperm, I suppose. Anyway, he made it seem as though he had a wonderful relationship with them, so I never suspected what I was about to read. They must not have known that I had been removed from the home, because their first few statements were their concerns for us girls, my sisters and myself. They told of the stories of life with our father. This is at least what they said, although I didn't at the time believe any of it. Stories I had never heard, nor do I wish to repeat. But as much as I wish not to speak of this, as much as I wanted to put down their letter, I need to write it now for you, as much as I needed to read it then for myself. The letter spoke of the most horrifying abuses even I could not fully comprehend. Whippings daily, food deprivation for weeks. They spoke of how they would be taking baths and the father would come in and hold their heads under the water over and over. The next thing I am going to talk about is, first I want to say something else too, because I have for a very long time had an issue with water. I am water. I love water. I love baths. I love being in the water. I love being around the water. But there's issues like I can't be under the shower head, like with the water going on my face. I don't like going underwater. I did get swimming lessons and I, was fine like at times, and I did fall through the ice when I was, I don't know, probably like 4 or 5 years old, and I was under the ice. I mean, like tapping on the top of the ice. Like I went down and was going, and my sister's friend went in, and my sister held her while she went under the water, and she grabbed me up. But it just kind of freaks me out at times, like thinking that, do I remember everything? Yeah. I hope there's not more that I have forgotten. But if there is, there's a reason I've forgotten it. So, yeah. There were 6 children, my siblings. The father and his wife would put them all into one bedroom, take their clothes away, and make them all have sex together. The father would tell them what to do to each other while masturbating. Then he would make them perform on him and his wife. They would leave them like this, naked and locked in a room together for days, only giving them food for more sexual acts. There was much more explicit details. Thankfully, I have forgotten or repressed. I wish I had the letter. And I wonder if the county has a copy of it. I mean, I wonder if they, like, have a file on me. I kind of want to go find out. Maybe I should see. I will put that in my planner. I carried the letter around with me for a week, crying but telling no one. There is no way I believed this about the father. I knew he was an asshole and had the one occasion with my older sister, but this, no way. After 1 week, I read it to one of my close male friends, and when I was through, I tore it up. I tore every page up into a million pieces. I kind of think I know who the male friend was, BJ, but I might have to reach out to him and ask him, because I would like to know who the one person is, just in case anybody comes back and says that it didn't exist or something. And that's why I kind of want to go and find it too, because it would be really nice to have, like, some confirmation that it was really, it existed, since I don't know. I've asked about it and been denied, so, but I do have one sibling that I don't talk to, or I haven't talked to. I talked to only one time. I never met her in Colorado, and I know she knows all of this stuff. I know she does. I would really like to meet her, period. Yeah. So maybe this summer I can do some work on finding her when we start getting some more people watching and getting some, like, donations. Like, I had this idea of kind of like going around to each and every one of the siblings and kind of like doing a little film kind of to find out how they feel and what their experiences were and stuff, because obviously I'm not the only one who went through these things, even if they want to, like, have denial, and even if they have, like, some form of, you know, Stockholm syndrome. I get it, but I know that it will come out. Like, some of this stuff will come out, that it's, like, real. I mean, I know my friends know it's real, that I grew up with, because they saw the bruises, they saw the whippings, they were there, present at times. So, but this stuff, I would like to hear it from them, from their mouths. I would like them to use their throat chakras and let it out. The truth, even if they do forgive them, I forgive them too. After that letter, nothing seemed the same. I just started not to care about anything anymore. I quit my sports. I started to go into the dark abyss of myself. I quit everything. I dropped out of everything. Except for working. I never stopped working. Actually, I worked another job too at Trollhagen, because I love skiing. So, sorry, Trollhagen is where, yeah, it's not a resort, but it's fun. And I checked in people's skis and snowboards and let them through with passes and shoveled and shit. It was fun, but cold. I was thankful for the hot tub at BH's house when I got home at night, that's for sure, because I froze my ass off most of the time. But I got a ski for free. Yeah, I like doing things for an exchange of energy. Even if you don't get paid a whole bunch, there's a return besides cash. I started to go into a dark abyss of myself. I felt as though I was dreaming all the time. I floated along through each day until one spring morning when I was in the shower, I heard the door creak open. I thought BH might be stepping in to grab her toothbrush. Instead, she pulled open the shower door and asked if I would like her to join me. She started to reach for one of my breasts, which were pretty much non-existent since my body resembled a 12-year-old boy's. Which I don't also understand, like, how most of these people, because there were others, but we don't need to go down that road the entire way, because these were just the most impactful, I suppose. Were so attracted to me because I was really not developed whatsoever physically. Yeah. Just control, power, somebody to easily take advantage of. It wasn't like I was so sexually desirable at, 3. Or 16. Or 13. Or 7. Or 8. Or 9. Whatever. You get the point. I grabbed the shower door and slammed it onto her hand. I started screaming furiously to get the fuck out. Just get the fuck out. She ran out and slammed the door behind her. I was not actually ever having night terrors about her. It all happened. It was all actually happening. Every single time. It was real. Oh, just even saying it makes me sick, to be honest. Like, I remember that day very clearly. And believe me, I did not want to wake up. Because I really did love her as a parent. I really did love JP as a father figure. And my grandfather, my brother, like, I loved them. I trusted them. I really trusted them to care for me. That I was special in a different way. In my heart way. And I think even at those ages, even from this, I felt bad for them. Like, it was different with BH because I really didn't believe she was doing this stuff to me. I really did think I was crazy, delusional. And you'll find out later. Well, I can't go into it yet because, well, you'll find out pretty soon. But, yeah, you'll be shocked what happens. I grabbed a razor and sliced into my arms in every direction. There were no tears. I was in complete shock. This whole time, for almost 2 years, she had been taking advantage, using my body for her pleasure, raping me in my sleep. The world came crashing down on me as the medicine bottles fell into the sink. I popped every one of them open, downed everything inside, and locked the door. I laid there in my own puddle of blood, praying to die. I fell asleep. Hoping not to wake up, that's for sure. I didn't want to face reality, as I didn't want my whole world to change again. I didn't want it to be this way. Like, I didn't want to say goodbye to my grandma and grandpa, my new real grandma and grandpa that loved me so much, and my aunts and my uncle and their kids, and like, I just wanted like a real life, I wanted a real future. I wanted to be loved in a way that was like true. like other people were. I woke the next day in my own vomit. I suppose BH didn't call 911 just in case I might turn her in. I went to my room and got dressed as quickly as possible, grabbing a few essentials and running to my car. I took off for JF's. I didn't know what I was going to say to him or his family, but I had nowhere else to go. Plus, it was only 4 months to my 18th birthday, so I didn't even think about social services. When I got there, JF wasn't home, but his mom, CF, could tell I was upset. She sent me up to his room to lie down and wait for him to get off of work. I fell asleep quickly from exhaustion. I woke up to him moving my dry blood, crusty hair off my face and tenderly kissing my forehead. He reached for my hand as I pulled away and rolled over. Immediately, he knew I had cut again. We had played this game many times. He left his room and brought back his older brother, DF. He was JF's only sibling. A lot of the time when I was with JF, GF and his girlfriend, JS, were with us. For the past 3 years, we were a tight-knit group. Bingo with the parents and grandparents on Wednesdays, football, snowmobiling, demolition derbies, or just nights at home watching Top Gun, Days of Thunder, or Wayne's World. DF would even walk into our room without knocking, catch us having sex, and come sit on the bed laughing his ass off. So yeah, we were close. The best family I had ever had. It wasn't totally weird or anything, but it was kind of like, get out, and he was just giving us shit, you know. Anyway, JF and DF came into the room and sat next to me on the bed. I knew I had to tell them I wasn't going back to BH's, and they would have to know the real reason why. Both of them cried and just sat there stunned. They told me not to worry. Both of them would talk to their parents, and I could stay. CF and DF, their parents were amazing as usual and said it was no problem. I could stay as long as I wanted. I could have JF's room and he could have the couch. I really didn't care where I slept. I would have stayed in the barn if I had to. I made them all promise not to tell anyone. They agreed, but they would have to talk with social services to let them know I would be living there. They were pretty amazing, like I said. I mean, I don't know many people who would just let their girlfriend just come move in, but they were amazing. And they really did treat me like a daughter, so one of my girlfriends and I went to pick up some of my leftover things the next day when we knew BH wasn't home. As we were throwing clothes into garbage bags, she walked in, so we bolted. This was starting to become the normal in my life, throwing what I could into garbage bags as quickly as possible. Each time there were many things left behind. Some of them were valuable, but the ones that even today I still think of were the ones that held memories. All of my pictures, videos, little collectibles my friends had given me, and Christmas ornaments. Christmas has always been my favorite. I loved being with my entire family during our holidays. Christmas for me held so many special treasures far greater than gifts. So each year to remember I would make or collect different ornaments. Now each time I left someone's home, my memories in the box in the basement marked Christmas were left behind. The pictures, though, are one of the things today haunt me as a huge loss. I mean, it was high school. Who doesn't like to go back through those memories and laugh once in a while, or be able to see those who have moved on to the next level of existence, just to see their face now and then? But I do, even without the pictures, so I win. Just kidding. I mean, I do see them. So they're helping me now. And they have been for years, giving me energy to keep going. Real love. I've often wondered why someone could not find it in themselves, no matter the circumstances, to give such intimate articles of belongings, another memories, back into the hands of the rightful owner. Obviously, it's spite, of course, But what good can come from dwelling on the pain in the form of stolen memories? It seems to me more harmful to the ones that choose to hold on to someone's personal reminders of their past. So I'll say this, poor them, poor BH, poor L and WM, and the others yet to come. And there are many others. Many, many others. Poor is the one who steals priceless, irreplaceable treasures of memories. Poor, poor is you. And rich, prosperous, and strength be to the ones that understand the value of truth and the value of irreplaceable treasures of materialized memories, especially the ones they mourn within their hearts. That was a big release. So thank you all. Chapter 12. Thank you all again for continuing to go on this journey and for supporting not only me, not only Lonnie, every one of her, but all the others, my family, my siblings, all the others who have been children, victimized, and especially the ones who have been victimized over and over and over. By watching this, by sharing this, you're supporting them. Because that's what my mission is to tell our stories in a way that is so real, is so connected, that even if you had a perfect life, even if you had all the love in the world that you could ever know, that you could actually connect to somebody's pain in this way, that you could see that it could be you. It could have been you. Because you could stand in my footsteps. You could stand in my place. You can understand the pain in a way that is undeniable. And maybe begin to see why at times people make the choices that they do. That maybe don't look like they're such healthy choices later. Choices you wouldn't make when you decide to judge them. You don't know exactly the past they had or the pain they carry. So maybe you can be grateful while you're supportive.
and help them love themselves. Help them learn those skills and love on yourself even more. Because even if you had all the love in the world, a perfect upbringing, doesn't mean that you were taught how to love yourself. But I love you. And I'm teaching you how to love yourself. I'm MECA, and the goddess of radical self-love. And by writing your own story, even if it's perfect, we want to hear it. I want to hear it. I want you to share it. And I want you to color out any of those blockages you ever had and be the best you could possibly be. And be a master manifester by loving yourself. And really connecting to source and the divine in whichever way that you see that expression. But I see it in every one of you. And I see it in me. Love you all. Have a great night. Thank you so much.